Hi guys, I'm Josh and I'm one half of the Brecky Boys, the other half being Paul Frame, and we're making Lock and Loaf, a game about making sandwiches. So we didn't actually get the brief until last week. Uh, we were given a teaser and then told to go do the post-mortem for our last project. And our teaser for Project 3 was to do some research into CSVs and how we might implement them in Unity, and to look into Magicavoxel, a free 3D asset creation tool. It's really cool. Actually, I'll bring it up. Uh, Very easy to use, very easy to learn. You just hover your mouse over the different brushes and tools and you'll see a description down the bottom in this box here. It even lets you animate characters, so we got some animated characters here. I have yet to play around with exporting that though, but I'll talk about that later. So I've never imported something as a text file or a spreadsheet before, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be as simple as looping through X and Y if we were making a 2D grid and looking for line breaks and commas for different values, but I'll talk about that later as well. The brief itself only says that we have to build for Android, load the levels from CSV or text, and have 20 of those levels. So it was very open. So after looking into Magicavoxel and CSV or text file importing, we did some brainstorming in class. First, we use this free application here that integrates nicely with Google called MindMap, and we created some solo brainstorming flowcharts by ourselves, and then we swapped them with our classmates, and we added to or suggested alternatives to ideas or how to implement them or whatever. My favorite suggestion was from Daryl, and that was on the Bomberman idea, where he said, "You are the bomb." And that got me thinking about swapping the avatar out for another object in other arcade games. By the way, a lot of people look to arcade games because we'd use Crossy Road as an example for making a simple mobile game using voxels. And they've used the Frogger idea. I don't think it's any different, except I'm not sure if the original Frogger had the collectibles and unlocks, so they've just got that that collect stuff endlessly and buy things with it thing going for. Actually, Steve says there's two types of games for mobile, and that is turn-based, whether that's multiplayer or AI, or inconsequential, which would be like Crossy Road, where you just collect and spend shit endlessly. Lock and Loaf is certainly going to be inconsequential, but it's going to be perhaps like Candy Crush, where you just want to get to the next level. I've even heard people compare how far they are in Candy Crush, and that's how they measure the success, I guess. I'm not sure. So I went ahead and made a bunch of game objects that you don't actually use, but it was the Pong that inspired me in regards to controls. I've got here you are the ball, but I've also got you are both paddles instead of just one. So instead of controlling one of the paddles on one side of the screen, you control both. And after class, I talked to Paul about this, and we were very inspired by having the dual controls, and he showed me ARMS on Nintendo Switch. And so we talked about that and put our pitch together. So our whole game is really based off being both paddles in Pong. and collecting things and getting to the next level. After our first pitch, we were told to refine our slides based off the feedback we'd just received from our peers and lecturers, and we were told to also add information for our surprise audio collaborators. Uh, we hadn't heard we were going to be collaborating with animation and audio until we received the brief that day, and so we had to think about how we were going to gear our pitch towards them. And so Paul and I added this slide in, and we talked about the juicy sound effects all the ingredients would make when they were picked up, and the announcer voice grabs in the style of Candy Crush that they could have some fun with. And we have a few audio students working on that stuff now, and it's sounding pretty good. The feedback that we responded to was mostly in regards to our original idea of being a co-op game and having a reason to have an extra pair of hands, which was a problem because having a seamless co-op game is just going to make so that is it could be played solo or co-op. Uh, it's just going to make it difficult to play solo and so frustrating. And so we cut that completely, and if we do co-op, it will be a different mode that's designed just for that. Apart from turning toast into two pieces of bread, we haven't needed to change too much. We've just needed to really define how we're going to do everything. Paul and I had a good mutual understanding of the thing we were making before we started getting into the documentation and really fleshing it all out. For example, putting a timer on each wave of ingredients that pops up or scrolls down the screen, so you've only got a small amount of time to get the combinations of ingredients that you want to get the score you need. And you replay and experiment with those combinations to see if you can't get a better score. And it will be that score that unlocks new levels, and that's your reward, because new levels have more cute voxel assets. So yeah, that's how we went about concepting this thing. Check back to see how it goes. Thanks for watching.